Good evening. I'm Jack Marlin, and welcome to another installment of Extraordinary Lives. Our series focuses on a group of individuals who have led more than ordinary lives. Some might even say extraordinary. Tonight, I'm coming to you from the living room of our featured profile, Eric Gagnon. Please join me as we take a journey through Eric's life, from childhood to manhood, and the lack of conflict he's faced on his way. Eric was born on January 28, 1977, to Marc and Claire Gagnon, a French-Canadian family born and raised in Quebec City. They married on September 26, 1965, and would have their first child on August 19, 1972. It would be a healthy and vibrant boy named Martin. The three would enjoy their lives together, living in Montreal and then Ottawa. 4 years later, on an adventurous night in Quebec City, the lovely couple would accidentally conceive their second child. That's right, the Eric Gagnon that his family and friends have grown to love was an accident, the product of a broken contraceptive.
And 9 months later, in a very cold January afternoon, Eric was born.
Eric grew up in a nice neighborhood in Gloucester, just east of Ottawa. He attended preschool at La Vérendrye Elementary School. But following the first grade, his mother, Claire, on the advice of a friend, decided to transfer young Eric to a new school. It became a very traumatic moment in his young life. He would start the second grade here. Well, what used to be here. 1 year later, the school would move to its permanent location, and Eric would spend up until grade 7 at Sarafang, Marion. It was at this time that Eric would make a shocking discovery about himself. He liked girls.
One of the closest moments I've ever felt with my father was when we had the talk that every father and son have at one point. We were driving, and my dad nervously turned to me and said, "Do you know how to do it?" I said, "Yes, I do," and we never spoke of the subject again. Never felt closer to that man.
Eric was beginning to excel in sports, had a great relationship with his parents, and was enjoying school. He would graduate from Pauline Vanier with straight B's. But then, Eric would make one of the biggest decisions of his life. When we come back, Eric comes to a decision that would forever change his life. Please stay with us. Upon entering high school, Eric would make one of the biggest decisions of his life. He would choose the neighboring English high school, Colonel By, instead of following the traditional footsteps and attend a French high school. It was not an easy transition.
At first, those English people were mean. I mean, they kept calling me names like Frog, Frogger, Eric the Frog, Frogman, the Frog.
Why would Eric turn his back on his people and his heritage to attend Colonel By? Well, simply put, it allowed him an extra 20 minutes of sleep every morning.
Froghorn, Froghead, Frog Doofus. I mean, can someone tell me what the hell Frog Doofus means?
Meanwhile, Eric started to find his own in both baseball and hockey. He finally made the top hockey team of his age group, the Gloucester Rangers. That year, the team would win the league championship and earn a spot in the provincial championship, the Hostess Cup. The team would make it all the way to the finals, but come up short and take the silver medal home. Eric recalls one cherished memory he shared with future NHLer Marc Savard.
I remember after the loss, the whole team was down, and Mark came up to me and he put his arm around me and he said, "You're a stupid f***. You should have never been on this team." He was probably right.
But hockey wasn't the only hobby Eric displayed a prowess in during high school. He also discovered he had a knack for finishing a six-pack remarkably quick.
I'll give it to those English. They sure know how to drink. They introduced me to a whole new world.
We'd never tried alcohol before we met Eric. We weren't really into that kind of stuff, but he was always trying to force us.
He called us douchebags, though. So we started drinking with him. He kept calling us douchebags anyway.
It was also at this time that Eric began courting a young woman named Tara.
Tara was my first real girlfriend. But I'll tell you, she wouldn't be the last. So when do we start filming?
The first time we met, Eric brought me a mop. He said he thought women liked gifts like that.
I knew women liked that kind of stuff, and I was trying to impress her. I think it worked.
Through all the drinking, the partying, the women, and the straight beads, two of his friends were always there. And eventually, Adam Ireton and Stephen Treitz would attend the University of New Brunswick with him.
It's a stressful time in life. Everybody's trying to meet application deadlines as well as do all the schoolwork. I took a trip down to the University of New Brunswick with my father to check out their kinesiology program. I spoke to some profs to make sure that it met all my needs properly. It's a big decision in life.
It's a very important decision in a person's life. I wanted to make sure that my university fit my needs and specifications.
So Eric came up to me one day and was asking where I had applied. I said University of New Brunswick. He looked at me and said, "So that's in New Brunswick, right?" I nodded, and he said, "Good enough," and walked away.
After coasting through 4 years of high school and barely attending any classes, Eric decided it was time to give something back. So in his senior year, he decided to join the school's football team.
Coach Barrett had a funny initiation where he'd get the rookies to show him their transcripts to prove that they went to Colonel By.
When Eric first came out for football, I had to tell him it was for students only. I mean, seriously, I hadn't seen him anywhere around the school.
Eric would become the team's starting safety and would even captain the defensive squad.
It was a big job. 25 guys looking up to me for leadership. But in the end, we can all hold our heads up high, knowing that we did a good job.
The team would go 0-7, losing all their games by a margin of at least 20 points. Once again, Eric would graduate with straight B's and would eventually head off to the University of New Brunswick. But his last night at Colonel By, his grad night, would be his most memorable.
It was a great night, one filled with wonderful memories of time spent with friends. I will never forget that night.
He made fun of my tux.
He threw up in the men's washroom.
Yeah, he also made fun of the volleyball team.
He threw up in the women's washroom.
He tried to make out with me.
He passed out during the slideshow.
He threw up on my dress.
He got kicked out of his hotel room.
They asked him to leave the bar.
He tried to make out with me.
It was now time for Eric to embark on a new adventure. Having left the past behind him, he was now looking to the future and his new life at the University of New Brunswick.